So guys, to install Visual Studio Code in your system, you need to go on this official website code.visualstudio.com. On this website, on the right hand side, you will find this download button. Click it on this download button and here you will find different installers for Windows, Linux and for Macs. This Mac installer will be valid for both Intel based as well as M1 based chips. So you can download or install this Visual Studio Code as per your operating system. Installation process is really very simple, so I'm not gonna explain on that to you. And apart from that, to run Python in the Visual Studio Code, you need to make sure that Python has been successfully installed in your system. If not, then go on this Python website python.org and go on this download and install whatever the current version of Python is available. And make sure this Python should be installed on the path. If you are installing in Windows, then you will find an option add to path. Make sure you click it or checked in that particular option while you are installing Python in the Windows. So, and how to verify that Python has been correctly installed in your systems? So if you are in Windows, then use like in search type cmder or cmd, that will open a command prompt and type this python dash dash version. And if you are using Mac OS, then open your terminal or item 2, then type python 3 and dash dash version. So when you will enter after this command, it will reveal you the current version of Python if Python has been successfully installed in your system on the current path, because on the path is the important thing. So if this thing comes in your system, this Python version, that means you are now ready to go with the Python in Visual Studio Code. So now when you have installed Visual Studio Code in your system, this is how your interface will look like after opening first time. So it might ask like to select some theme and all. So those are pretty basic options. Select the theme, whatever you like that. And then when you will close down and open up your Visual Studio Code, this is how the interface will look like. And you might not see these the recent one, as these recent one are the recently opened projects in the Visual Studio Code. So now let's talk about this Visual Studio Code interface. So on the left hand side, you will find there is an activity bar, and on this activity bar, these are different views. So first one is the Explorer view. So when you will click it on this Explorer view, you will find out that a sidebar will open, and this sidebar contains the Explorer view options, and this Explorer view is for managing files and folders. Then there is a search view, and then just go down and come to this extensions view. So guys, now let's go and click it on this particular extensions view, and on this view you will find different lists of extensions. So there are three lists are available. One is the installed one. So let me minimize the other ones. Yeah. So these are the three lists. So on the installed list, there is a 0 extension, as we haven't installed any extension. On popular one, if you click it and maximize on this popular list of extension, so you will see on the first one itself, you will find the Python extension, as this is the most famous extension available in the Visual Studio Code. And then the third one is the recommended one. So those things we'll talk later on those recommended extension. So for now, let's get back on this popular extension lists and install the Python extension from over. Click it on this install button, and let's enlarge the size of this particular sidebar and try to make a read the documentation of this particular extension, as it is a really good practice. Always make a read to these extensions documentation. Those will really help you out in many ways. So when you will read on this particular extension, you will find out it says the Python extension will automatically install the Pylance and Jupyter extensions to give you the best experience. So that means it will be installed with some other extensions also. So let me go and now let's see the list. So let me minimize all these three lists now. So now you will see in the list of installed extensions we have 5 extensions available. So let's click it on this list. Now you will see that this Python extension has come with other 4 extensions. So one is for Pylance, which is for raising error alerts, and other 3 are for managing Jupyter notebooks. And I have created a separate tutorial of Jupyter notebooks, and you can find the video on that, the video link of that tutorial I have given in the video description of this video, or you can find on my YouTube page at revolution.tech in the Python tutorial playlist. So now when we have correctly installed this particular Python extension, now let's get back to our Explorer view, and this view is for managing files and folders. So now let me do one thing. Let me minimize this my Visual Studio Code, and I'm going on my desktop, so you can go anywhere in your system where you can navigate. Now on my desktop, now let me create a folder with the name of, let's say, Python setup. Enter it. Yeah. So now let me get back to my VS Code, and over here either on this Explorer view option, so make sure you have clicked the sidebar, so click it on this Explorer view with the sidebar on this open folder, or go on the file and click it over here. You will also find this open folder option, so anywhere you can proceed. So I'm clicking on this open folder option and navigate to the folder which we have just created. So I created that folder in my desktop with the name of Python setup. Click it on it and open it. So now we have opened our Python setup folder in the Visual Studio Code, and now let's close this one. Now let me do one thing. Now let's create a file. So over here, like, these are the different options where you can create different files and folders. So let me do one thing. Let me create a folder first. Let me give the name, let's say subfolder. Give a name, let's say sub underscore folder. Enter it. So we have created our subfolder, and right click it and create a new file and give the name of the file first.py and enter it. So we have created our first Python file, and make sure you provide this .py extension correctly, because with these extensions only Visual Studio Code will recognize the programming language of that specific test file. And if you will see on this status bar below, you'll find this Python, and when you click it on this Python, you'll find the different languages, as these are the languages which is supported by VS Code. So if in case by mistake Visual Studio Code that does not brings you this option Python when you have created a Python file, then go and selected a right file, or like anywhere, like if you have created a JavaScript file and it does not give you a JavaScript option on that, so click it over here and select a JS option. Now make sure that on the right hand side there is a correct interpreter has selected. If in case, so let me click it over here, this option doesn't reveal you on over here on the right hand side, or it might be in the old versions of Visual Studio Code, you will find this option on the left hand side. So don't get confused, just click it on this particular option that's called command palette. In Windows type Ctrl+Shift+P, and in macOS type Command+Shift+P. So let me type Command+Shift+P as I'm using a macOS, and type select interpreter and enter it. Click it over here or enter it, as it has already selected select, and it will reveal you the same option. And these are different versions of Python which you have installed in your system. In macOS this version came by default, and this one which I have installed the Python interpreter on my path. So I have selected the recent one. So once you have selected a correct Python interpreter, which will reveal you on the status bar over here downside, then write your first Python code. So let's write print and let's say hello world, and go on the right hand side on and above, and over here you'll find this option run Python file, and run the Python file, and you will see on this terminal we have correctly got our output hello world. But we will make this output much better with new extension and new settings in this next part of this video. So now let's move towards the second part of the video.